Alright, hey, HazeMega here, and welcome to another HazeMega Sauron Lightbeat video. Alright, so in this video, this is my vlog for upgrading the wire harness, alright, the battery wiring harness on my Sauron Lightbeat. Alright, this is a 2018 Sauron Lightbeat MX, and it's still running the stock harness, alright. I'm not really sure how thick the wiring is for the harness. I think it's got to be around like maybe an 8 gauge or something, 8 or 10, something around there. And it's running the stock Supra connectors, okay? I think that's like a 6mm connector. And so we're going to upgrade to this, all right? QS10P-L, all right? That's what it's called. All right, I got this off of Amazon. I'll put links in the description where I got all the parts. We'll take a look at all the parts. Yeah, so you could buy a ready-made harness, all right, for the bike, all right. And okay, so let me go over why I'm upgrading the harness, all right. So I'm getting ready to push some big power through the bike, all right. I've got my Qi battery systems, Gladiator 72 compact battery, all right. That's 72 volts, and it can handle 22 kilowatts continuous. However, we're still running the stock wiring, okay. And I noted that I think we're running like 17 kilowatts. I did a 17 kilowatt torture test, all right, going up the hill, and I noted the wire didn't get all that hot, but the connector got kind of hot, all right. You could definitely tell the connector gets hot, and what a lot of people say is when they're pushing a lot of powers through this bike with the stock connector, it gets welded, all right. It gets so hot they get stuck to each other, and then plastic melts and everything. So we don't want that, all right. So. And it's also, the wiring is a big bottleneck in the electrical system, okay? You've got this breaker that it's got to go through, all right? And then you've got this, you know, wiring and the connector, all right? So all those things, they add bottlenecks, or it adds resistance, all right? The name of the game is when you're trying to discharge as much power from the battery as much as possible, you gotta lower the amount of resistance, all right, going through everything, all right? And you don't want anything to get too hot, all right? So that's the reason. It's safety and performance, all right? So those are the two things why we were doing this, okay? And so why are you building your harness yourself, HazeMega? Yes. So I think Qi Battery Systems sells a harness for 80 bucks. And I think KO sells a harness, all right, and I think you can get it for 50 bucks on Grid Ship right now. It's on sale, but like I think normally they sell it for $70-80 or something, okay? So I'm gonna try to see if I can save some money doing it myself. HazeMega has been making battery wires for a solar panel system, and I'm pretty good at it, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna crimp the lugs on, and then we're gonna solder the connectors on, all right? So HazeMega has decided to go with the QS10P, all right? Why did I go with this one? Well, because it can dish out a lot of punishment, all right? So you can move a lot of current, all right? A lot of energy through that without it getting too hot. This guy is like a 10mm, all right, guys? It's 10mm versus the 6mm. The only thing is it's ginormous, guys. It's huge, all right? There's no way to get around it. If you want to move more energy without it getting hot, you need to have thicker wires, guys, okay? The more current that you push through a wire, the hotter it's going to get, okay? And also, we're going to be deleting the breaker, all right? So there will be no more breaker. So what I had heard on the Sauron, for the Sauron Lightbeat, is that the breaker is really, it's only really there on-off switch, so when you plug the battery in, the connector doesn't spark, okay? Well, the QS10P is a what's the word? It's got an Antispark technology in it. Okay, it's basically there's a resistor in there or a capacitor or something like that. It charges up, and then when you connect it together, it doesn't spark. Okay, hopefully. Okay, and we'll take a look at this in a second. All right, and yeah. So also other benefits. So yeah, so that's the reason why we're gonna delete the breaker. All right, because one, It adds more resistance to the wiring. All right, I've never had that breaker blow. Also, I think it's like a 100 amp breaker, and we've been pushing way more than 100 amps through that breaker, man, and I've never seen it popped. Okay, I've never seen it pop. I don't bother to check if it gets hot or anything, but yeah, man, I don't know. I question if it works or not. I guess some people it pops on them a lot. Me, it doesn't. I've never popped the breaker on mine. Okay, so as far as I know, it probably doesn't work because we're pushing. I know we're pushing at around like 200 amps through that breaker, all right, and it's never popped on me. So it's not really a breaker, guys. It's just the on-off switch, is basically what it is, all right. And then so that on-off switch generates a lot of resistance in the wiring, all right. And also it takes up a lot of space in the head area, you know, where all the wiring is. So it would be nice to get some extra space in that area, because we're not going to have any space when we install these thick old wires here. All right, guys. So Hayesmega decided to go with 4-gauge wires. All right, the KO harness comes with 4-gauge wires. All right, the bigger the better. It's always better to have bigger wiring. All right, and yes. There's not going to be a breaker on it. There's not going to. If you wanted to, you could probably put a fuse. I could probably add a fuse pretty easily later. All right, but I think it'll be fine to not have a breaker. All right, as long as you use the biggest wire. All right, but yeah, if something does short circuit or something, then yeah, then you got nothing to protect the wiring. All right, so that's one thing that we have to be aware of. All right. With this wiring, I don't think we're going to overheat the wiring, right, anymore, because like I'm already pushing a lot of power through it, and the wiring is okay, but what my worry is if we push up to like 22 kilowatts, like what this battery is rated for, we'll probably start melting the wires and stuff, right, the connectors and stuff. So stuff is going to start getting too hot, all right, and so that's why we're going to build our new harness, a badass harness. Okay, so that's a scoop. So my plan is we're going to make a new harness, and then we're going to delete the breaker, and then we're going to install these connectors. I'm going to install one connector. All right, I'm going to take the connector off that's on the Qi battery, and we're going to install this guy. Okay, and then I'm going to make an adapter for my other batteries, because I don't know if I'm going to sell them or not. All right, so my plan is to run this. I have 3 modes, all right, 3 race modes that I can program into the X9000 controller. The mode, race mode 3 will be like 22. I'll be set it for the maximum power that this thing can dish out. All right, 22 kilowatts. All right, this can handle 22 kilowatts continuous. So we can probably even jack it up even higher, man. But let's try 22 kilowatts is plenty of power, guys. All right, we're running 15 right now. And the bike is plenty fast. I'm not gonna lie, dude. But yeah, we're trying to break some records, right? Or we're trying to get some better drag race times, all right? But yeah, so in mode 3, it's gonna be like all the power, you know, and then so that's gonna be for this battery, and then I'm gonna have a mode 2 for my old batteries, all right? My old batteries, I don't really push more than 15 kilowatts through them because they don't like it, and they've got the stock connector too. So my plan is to keep the stock connector on my old batteries, and then we'll run that in race mode 2, and we'll program that for 15 kilowatts. All right, I know those batteries can handle 15 kilowatts just fine. Okay, now continuously they may overheat. All right, but it depends, depends on the weather and how you're riding it, that kind of stuff. Okay, so we're gonna make an adapter that goes from the stock connector to this connector. Okay. That's a scoop. All right, and then what are we gonna do next? Yeah, so we're gonna make an adapter that allows you to use the QS10P wire or connector, and it's gonna go to the stock connector. Okay, and then we can plug that into the battery. That way, I don't have to modify the connectors on the batteries, on my other batteries. So if I do, I'm planning to maybe sell one of the batteries. So if I do, I want it to have the stock Suron connector on it, right? So somebody could just plug it into their bike, all right? So that's my reasoning for that. And I should have extra connector lying around. What we'll probably do is we'll take the old connector off of this bike, and then we'll use that to make the adapter with this, okay? And yes, it's going to be really bulky and stuff. So that's going to be the drawback to that. Well, you'll have 2 connectors instead of 1. All right, and so it's going to be really bulky. All right, so that's the plan there. All right, so we'll still run the stock connectors, but I'll have an adapter that allows us to go back to the stock connector. Okay, and I mean, you'll still get the benefits. Most of the wiring will be upgraded already. There won't be a breaker, right? It's just, yeah, the connector will be, we'll have to do some tests to see how much current we can push through that setup, all right, with the adapter on there, right? You're going from like a 10mm connector to a 6mm connector, guys. It's a big difference in size, okay? And the wiring, but hopefully the upgraded wiring will help soak up that heat, you know, that's what I'm gonna say. Okay, because the wiring is just a big conductor, right? Okay, so that's the scoop. Let's go take a look at the ingredients I have to make this harness, and then we'll get to it. Okay, so these are all the ingredients I've gathered to make this work. All right, guys. So this is a so the important part is the connectors, guys. All right. So I've got a QS10P-L is what it says, okay? And so if you look at the other QS10, if you look at the Qi battery QS10, you'll notice that there's no pins here. All right. The pins are missing, all right? There's some funky pins that these QS10 connectors have. This doesn't have them, okay, guys? So that's why I bought it. I figured it would be more compact if it didn't have those pins in the center, all right? And you only need a positive and negative, guys, okay? It's DC, okay? So here's one without the backing on it. It has these covers already on them, all right? Just it's similar to a XT connector, all right, guys? Like a XT60 or XT80 or whatever. And it's really easy to solder, all right? See how they're already cut open here and stuff. All you got to do is tin this, stuff it in there, and then melt the solder. All right, you're going to need a pretty powerful soldering iron, all right? One thing I don't like about these is if you heat the soldering iron up too much, it may melt the plastic, all right? So we've got to try to avoid that, all right? But it's going to take a lot of heat to melt the solder on this, okay? You need a very powerful soldering iron, and I got one, okay, guys? Or you can use a torch, all right? What some people do is they use a torch. Okay, so we'll be installing this guy. The reason I went with this guy is, like I mentioned, it doesn't have those pins in the center. I thought it would be more compact, okay? And so this is I got this at the Babuvia store on Amazon. All right, these are $14 for a pair. All right, so you get the male and the female side. All right, and then yeah, and so here's the specs for these guys. I'll probably put a subtitle. But yeah, so this is a QS10P-L. It's a high-strength anti-spark resistance plug. Okay, used to avoid sparks in initial connection. All right, model is QS10P-L. The plastic material is nylon. Okay, nylon, very strong plastic. Connector material is gold-plated copper, 8mm. Oh, this one's only 8mm. It's not. I thought it would be 10. Why did they call it a QS10 then, guys? It's not really 10mm, guys. It's 8mm. Okay, so these are 8mm connectors. Maximum temperature it can withstand is 200 C. That's a lot, guys. All right. The rated voltage is 600 volts. All right, so we're only running 72 volts, guys. Temperature range 30 C to 200 C. Okay, and why can't you run it in like negative temperatures? I don't know. Well, probably the battery. Maximum, it says 6 stars current. You can run 210 to 270 amps for large current. Okay. The recommended wire size is 4 gauge to 10 gauge. Okay. QS10P-L is a new member of the QS series, which is specifically designed for high current charging, such as new energy storage, folding lithium electric vehicles, electric motorcycles, guys. All right, electric bicycles. QS10P-L has a wire throw sheath. It has many advantages such as small volume and large current, and the current can reach 210 to 270 amps. Okay. I believe, let me see, from the Amazon website says some different stuff, okay, guys? I don't know which one to believe. All right, but it says the continuous current for this is 210 amps. All right, it's got to be better than what's in the Suron right now, man. Look at how much bigger it is. The max current is 500 amps. Okay, so that's just think about that, like 500 amps peak. Okay, guys. The max temperature it could withstand is 200 C. The max wire is 6 gauge. However, we have 4 gauge, but that website said 4 gauge is okay too. Okay, we'll find out when we solder it. All right. I kind of wish I'd gone with a smaller wire. This is kind of thick. The thicker the wire is, the harder it is to bend the wire. Okay, guys. All right. The connector material is gold-plated brass, nylon fiber shell. Okay, and it's a high current and anti-spark guaranteed long battery life. And they're $14, all right, each. So I think that's not a bad deal. All right, the connector is only 14 bucks. Why did they charge you $80 for the thing? Okay, guys. Okay, what else do we got? Okay, so this is the wiring we'll be using, guys. It's a 4 gauge wire. All right, 4 gauge copper wire. I bought the 3 foot. All right, I think I'm hoping 3 feet is going to be all we need. All right. It's 4 gauge welding cable. That's what it is. All right? It's all copper. There's none of that tin plated stuff. All right. It's 99% pure copper. I got a PVC jacket, and the working temperature. Well, it's a PVC jacket. If it was silicone, it might be better. Anyway, this is wiring for batteries, guys. Okay. And 4 gauge should be plenty. The working temperature on this guy is minus 40 C to 105 C. Alright, it's easy to soldering and sturdy. It's got good conductivity. It has anti-oxidation and anti-corrosion. Super flexible strips, easy for quick install. Okay, I hope that's right. Alright, and this is probably the most expensive part, guys. It's 20 bucks, okay? 20 bucks and you gotta get, the red and the black, okay? And then I've got the wiring lugs, or the ring terminals. Okay, these are SELTERM 4 gauge ring terminals. All right, heavy duty ring terminals. They're tin copper wire lugs, and they're for a number 10 stud. Okay, guys. So I pulled out one of my controllers. I pulled out the BAC controller, and I saw like, oh, it uses a really small bolt. So you don't need a very big hole for the thing, okay? But you do need it big enough to handle a 4 gauge wire, right? So to install that, we'll be using this TEMCo hammer lug crimper, okay? I got. Anyway, the wiring lugs. These were 12 bucks, guys. Okay, so I only need 2, so I kind of bought too many, but it's okay. I can make other stuff with it. So, all right. But I have this TEMCo hammer lug crimper that I use to make batteries. All right, I'll put a link in the description where you can find this guy. Okay, on Amazon. I'm going to be using my my press to put the lugs on. Okay. All right, and then we're just gonna solder this in with my soldering iron, and then I got this Jokari wire stripper dealie. Okay, this is for stripping very large wires. All right, which we'll be working with. Okay, so those are the ingredients that we'll be using to ingredients and tools that we'll be using to build this harness. Okay, guys. So all right, so the first thing to do is we need to go take the old harness out of the bike first. Okay, and then we will remove the breaker also. So. All right, so I'll be happy to get rid of that freaking old breaker. Okay, first thing we'll do is we'll remove the battery. Oh, jeez. All right. Whew. Hopefully the QS connector is easier to take out than that. Okay, so we're gonna have to disconnect the control. Oh, you know what we should do first? Hold on. All right, before we work with anything, all right, let's turn the bike on while the battery's not connected, and that makes sure that there's no power in the system. Okay, guys. So if I turn it on, I bet you it'll fire up. See? It should disappear. Wow, dude, that's a lot of. See? Do you see how much power there was in there still? Dude, it took a while. I gotta turn it off and turn it back on again. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we know there's no power in the system. All right. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is just remove the controller. Just just kind of unbolt it from the bike because we need to get to the wiring, guys. So. Okay, the controller just fell off of the bike. Alright, there it is. And so we just need to disconnect, I'm just going to leave the phase wires and all this other stuff connected. All I got to do is remove the black wire and the red wire, alright? And you probably, well, it says negative and it says positive there. I won't forget. So, okay. Okay, so there's this kind of sleeve thingy here. We're gonna have to pull that back to expose all the wiring. Okay, so here, so we're gonna need these wires, guys. See these see these wires right here? We're gonna need those still. So what I'm gonna do, I think it's all the way here. We're gonna have to strip this whole jacket here. And we got to expose this wiring here, okay? Because we're going to need those wires. That's the wire you use to, that powers your bike up when you turn the switch, okay, guys? So we need to retain that. So rather than making a new harness, we're going to reuse that one, all right? It's not important that that's a nice wire, okay, guys? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to try to get this wire out of here. So what we're going to do is just cut this red jacket here. And make sure we don't cut that wire. We're going to want to cut the wire farther along the line. Okay. Let's see, this little jacket here is kind of brittle already, probably from getting hot so many freaking times. Okay, I'm just going to get a pliers. We're going to pull back on this. Hopefully it'll just peel off. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay, we're going to peel back as much of that wire, as much of that as we can. Oh, okay, it's broken off. Okay guys, I just want to point out that, yeah, what I'm doing is irreversible, okay guys? If I want to go back to the stock wiring, I gotta go buy another stock wire. Or I gotta, you know, redo it. Okay, I'll cut this shrink tubing here. It's not even shrink tubing, it's like a tape or something. There's a lot of insulation on this wire, man. There's more insulation than there is wire, guys. Okay, you guys got that? They just soldered it on, alright guys? And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to solder it onto the next connector, okay? So what they've done is they've crimped it. They crimped it to the lug, alright? But they've soldered it on top of the lug, okay? So they soldered the ignition wire onto the lug, and that's exactly what we're going to do, guys, okay? Should I just solder that? I guess so, huh? Okay, I'll leave that there. We'll bust out the soldering iron. We'll get that. So I'm just going to do the same thing to the black wire. All right, the black wire has a green wire coming out of it. Green for ground, you know, but that's like AC ground, right? So I don't know. Usually ground is black, right? But yeah, we need to get to that wire. Okay, I'm just going to speed up the video here. You saw one of them. I'm just going to do the same thing for the black. Okay, wires have been unearthed, and I will get the soldering iron. We'll unsolder it. Okay. I want to try to keep as much of the old wiring, or this wiring, as much as possible. Okay. Okay. So while I'm waiting for the soldering iron to heat up, we're gonna keep on peeling this wrap back here. Okay. Keep on exposing that green and red wire. Looks like they got some kind of tape here. Okay, be careful not to mess up the wire that we need. Okay, so there's that jacket right there. It's a nice harness. Okay. There you go. So that's what we need right there, okay? Make sure this is separate from this, all right? Because we're not going to need this anymore. It's nice wiring. I could use it for something else. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and unsolder this. Hopefully it works. I may need to get some thing if it doesn't melt the... Okay, I got a stool and my little helper here to help hold it steady. Okay. Wow, I can't get it to come out. It's not wanting to go. I can see it's melted it. It's missing the wire. Just cut it, man. You know, okay, I see what's going on. They crimped it. All right, they crimped the wire. They crimped the wire to the lug, and then they soldered it, which is, I guess that's good. It's like, you know, double protected. So what we're gonna do is just snip this, okay? We're not gonna get it out of there. All right, but I'll try to get as much of the wiring out as I can on this one right here, okay? Just like I did on the red one. Okay, I'll pull as much as I can out of there, and then we're just gonna snip it. Okay. And we'll just strip the jacket back. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, we couldn't get it out of there. They stripped it. I thought they just soldered it on. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna solder it on, guys. Okay. Okay, and we're done. We're done freeing these wires. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is loosen the battery wall. All right, I could do that by loosening these guys right here. I mean, take it out. We gotta take the bolt out because we need access to the wiring. Okay, there's one. Take out the one on the other side. Okay, next thing we're going to do is loosen the bottom bolts. Just loosen them, don't take them out for the battery wall. Okay, that should allow the wall to move. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, now that we've I've unbolted the top and loosened the bottom. It should just swing back and forth like that pretty easily, okay? Like really easily, okay? Okay, so here's the breaker. It's a 5.5 millimeter nut on the back, all right? And then it's a 2.5 millimeter Allen head bolt, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and take this breaker out. You'll notice I don't have the stock battery wall also because mine broke and I replaced it with a prickly one. So if you're interested in figuring out how I installed this guy, I have a video on that. I'll put that at the end of the description, at the end of the video. There'll be like a little link. Okay, the other two, all right, the other two are down here. There's holes in this foam here, right? That I do have the stock foam thing, so there's a little opening for it so you can get to it. Okay, all the bolts are free. I should be able to take them out now. And now we'll have a lot more space back here, man. You'll be welcome, that's for sure, man. This bottom one's not coming out. It's being stubborn. Sorry, this last one's being a pain in the butt. Just pull on it really hard, it might just come out. There we go. Oh, okay, there's a washer in there. Oh, I see. Okay. Nope, as long as we take the bolt out, we can slip it out. Because the threaded inserts are getting in the way. Okay, got them all out, finally. All right, mine has a little spacer here because it's, oh well, yeah, yours will have spacers too. Stock ones should have a plastic, little plastic spacers, all right? This one is like a one I got from the prickly one. It's a little spacer for the thing. But, okay, now I should be able to just lift it off now, right? Supposedly. Or slide it off. All right, there we go. Wiring's out. Okay, that's the whole mamma jamma right there. Okay, there you go. That's the wiring harness there, guys. All right. So we uninstalled the old one. Now we got to go install the new one. All right. So, but yeah, there it is. Pretty nice. The wiring is pretty thin. It's an 8 gauge, and this is a 4 gauge wire, guys. That we'll be installing. So it's like twice as thick, guys. The good thing is we only have to go a straight shot, guys. So. Okay, well, that's the new wiring right there. There's the old wiring. It just eclipses it. Yeah, it's literally twice as thick, guys. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to work with this, man. All right. Uh-oh, guys. So I just realized this is not 4 gauge. This is 2 gauge wire, guys. Yeah, this says 4 gauge. The package says 4 gauge. All right, but the wire says 2 gauge. This is a 2 gauge wire, guys. This is too thick. This won't work with the lug things that I bought. It says 2 gauge on it. So this says 2 gauge. This says 2 gauge, but this says 4 gauge. It's incorrectly packaged, man. So I might have to send this back and get the right wire, man. I would rather get the 4 gauge wire. I don't want it to be super duper thick, guys. Let me see if this fits on the connector. Okay, guys, so I got a problem here. So like I mentioned, both of these wires are 2 gauge. All right, that's a no-go. We needed 4 gauge. All right, 4 gauge is the maximum size wire. That thing. I mean, I guess I looked at it, and it looks like we could use it, you know, but I would rather have a smaller wire than a thicker wire. Okay,
4 gauge is like the biggest I wanted to go, guys. I want to be able to maneuver that wire, you know, a little better. So I don't know, maybe we could use it, but I think I would rather go with the 4 gauge. So I'm gonna return this to Amazon, all right, and they're gonna send me the right one. Okay. See, so here it says 4 gauge wire, all right. It's 4 gauge, but this wire is 2 gauge. All right, it says 2 gauge. It says 2 gauge, 3 feet. All right, 2 gauge, 3 feet. Okay, and then if you look at the wire itself, it says welding cable, 2 gauge. All right, it's 2 gauge, so too thick. So I guess the 4 gauge will be like half as thick as that. So that'll be a little bit better to work with. Okay. So I'm gonna return this. Well, they're gonna send a replacement, and I have 30 days to return this. So what I'll do is I'll get the I'll wait for them to ship the 4 gauge wire, and then we'll take a look at both of them, see which one I want. Like I said, I don't want to go too big, but I don't want to go too small either. So all right, but I think 4 gauge is fine. All right. I think some of the wires is 8. There's 4, 6, and 8. All right, that's what they use for these upgraded harnesses. So I wanted to go with 4. That's the biggest they use. I see they use on the Sora. And also the lugs I bought. All the stuff I bought is for a 4 gauge, guys. So this is for a 4 gauge wire. All right, the ring terminals. So I mean, we could probably get it to fit in there. I'm not gonna lie. All I could do is just snip off some of the wire inside and then just put it in there and then crimp it. So that would work. All right, but I think I would rather go with the kind of smaller wire. Okay, guys. If you think about it, Hades Mega kind of got an upgrade. Okay, we got a thicker wire, so you know I'm getting more for my money type of thing. All right. Maybe I should have just ordered another one. Okay. But anyway. Yeah, I'd rather go with the 4 gauge because I think everything will fit a little better inside the bike. All right, so it's either you go too big or too small, right? Or just right. I think 4 gauge will probably be just right. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping off, how the wires. But I'll have extra connectors anyway, so I can experiment. I could always make another harness if I'm not happy with this. So, but yeah, it's the wiring is expensive. All right, the wiring is the most expensive part of this. It's $20. All right, so I mean we're like 20. I bought 2 sets of connectors, guys. That's about $30, and then $20. So we're already $50. So we could have. I'm not gonna lie, I could have bought the KO harness already and used the KO, but the KO connector is expensive, guys. I think it's $50, and then they want $35 for each connector. It's super expensive. The QS connectors are $15 and you get a male and a female, guys. All right, $15. You literally, the QS connector is half the price. All right, and it's just as good as the KO. All right, I'm not gonna lie, the KO is probably better. All right, I think it can handle. I think they're both of these are rated for 500 amps, guys. So I don't know if it's 500 amps continuous, but this one is 500 amps maximum. All right, peak. All right, so okay. So anyway, yeah, that's scoop. In the next clip, I'll have the proper wire. All right, so now it kind of sucks. I took my bike apart and everything, and then I go to look at the wire, and it's the wrong one. So I'm kind of stuck now. So and my bike is like in pieces now. So what the hell, dude? All right, but anyway, one thing we could do, all right, before we I can verify how much wiring we need. All right, guys. So I've got a tape measure here, and what we can do is we can go from the take the black wire. All right, I'll stretch it out as much as I can. All right, and I've got from each connector, all right, from end to end, I've got 24, 2 feet. All right, so the wiring is 2 feet, guys. So you need at least 2 feet of wire. So I would get 3 feet, guys. Okay, so Hades Mega was right. I guesstimated right. All right, so 3 feet is exactly what we need. All right, you want more, you don't want less. All right, but yeah, you don't want excess too. So I would say order 3 feet. All right, guys. My plan is to make it probably. So it was 24 inches. My plan is to make it like a 25 or 26 inches, guys. All right, make it just a little bit longer than what we need. Like I said, we can always just tuck some of the wire in, or like bunch it up like this, and then zip tie it somewhere. All right, if we need to make it shorter. All right, because there's plenty of space behind the thing now. So, okay, because this big old box isn't there anymore. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna go put my bike away, and then yeah, when I get the new wiring, hopefully they send it to me pretty quick. If I remember correctly, they sent me this in a couple days, so I think we'll be good. We'll get it in time. All right, here's my guy.